Hey guys, today we're diving into the unexpected rise of humanity. Picture this in the midst of a galaxy consumed by war. Every civilization, from the towering insectoid Chrysians to the radiant energy-based Orlac, looks down on humanity as a feeble primitive species. They're barely capable of space travel and still bicker over ancient technologies like nuclear reactors. And yet, when a cataclysmic war breaks out that drags the whole galaxy into its chaos, humanity does the unthinkable. While the other civilizations ready their fleets, stockpile weapons, and sharpen their claws for the inevitable bloodshed, humanity quietly does something far different. They don't join the battle, they step in as negotiators, diplomats, and surprisingly, the voice of reason. It seems ridiculous at first. How can a species so fragile with no advanced technology or overwhelming military force be the key to ending a galactic war? You probably won't survive this. Unless, of course, you have a few tricks up your sleeve like humanity does. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now imagine a situation where you're the underdog, the last species anyone expects to succeed. In the vast reaches of space where warlords rule and power is measured by firepower, humanity's perceived weakness is their greatest asset. Because in the end, their strength isn't in their technology or their sheer numbers. It's in something far more powerful, their ability to understand, communicate, and heal. In this universe, the humans are told they're insignificant. Their fragile bodies compared to the mighty creatures they share the galaxy with make them seem like a joke. But it's in this very fragility that their true power lies. They've learned to rely on each other. They've learned to use their minds and words when others would use weapons. And in the heart of a universe tearing itself apart, humanity's quiet influence begins to change the tide. As the war spreads through the galaxy, each new battle brings more devastation. The Orlac launch devastating energy pulses that can obliterate entire star systems in seconds. The Chrysians, with their massive claws and hive mind coordination, unleash brutal attacks with no regard for the lives they destroy. But the war is spreading too fast, consuming too many, and with every victory, there's always another battle, another defeat just around the corner. It becomes clear that none of these civilizations, no matter how powerful, can truly win, at least not without paying an unimaginable price. Enter humanity, who by all rights shouldn't even be in the conversation. But while the rest of the galaxy prepares for their next bloody clash, a small group of humans, diplomats, philosophers, and even former soldiers turned peacekeepers meet in a hidden corner of the galaxy. They aren't forming a new army, and they aren't gathering advanced weaponry. They're preparing something else entirely, a plan to end the war with words. At first, no one takes them seriously. The alien factions laugh at the idea of diplomacy as a solution in a galaxy where the strongest rule through sheer violence. Humans don't even have a fleet to back them up, one Chrysian general scoffs. What are they going to do, lecture us into submission? But humans have something no one else has: a genuine desire for peace. Unlike their war-torn counterparts who have spent eons fighting over territory and resources, humanity is still grappling with their own history of violence and conflict. They know the cost of war all too well, and they're determined to stop it from consuming the universe again. They begin by reaching out to the factions most disillusioned with the war, the ones that have suffered the most. In the quiet corners of space, humanity offers an olive branch, bringing factions together to talk, to listen. They use their knowledge of psychology, communication, and conflict resolution skills that have allowed them to survive their own violent history without repeating it. Slowly but surely, they start to make inroads. What was once an unthinkable notion, ending the war without fighting, becomes a real possibility. The Orlac, for example, are deeply entrenched in their desire for conquest. But when humanity introduces the concept of value over violence, something clicks. The Orlac, while proud, are also a species bound by ancient traditions of honor and respect. They find themselves intrigued by the idea that there might be more value in peaceful coexistence than in endless war. Could this fragile species truly offer a solution to a problem they've spent centuries trying to solve through force? And so the first hesitant steps toward peace begin. Humanity's method isn't through power, it's through understanding. They don't try to crush their enemies. They try to make them see a different way. A way where power isn't measured by the number of ships in your fleet or the size of your weapons, but by the strength of your mind, your ability to listen, and your capacity for empathy. The first tentative meeting between the Orlac and a human diplomat is held in a neutral space station, a place neither side controls. The Orlac are wary, of course, but they're also intrigued. They've never encountered a species like humanity before. The humans don't speak in threats, don't make demands. Instead, they offer a perspective that challenges the Orlac's very understanding of power. "We've fought our wars too," the human diplomat, Ambassador Helen Rice, begins. "We know what it's like to lose. We know what it's like to watch our own kind perish because we didn't understand how to resolve our conflicts in another way." She leans forward, her eyes unwavering. "But we learned, and we can help you do the same." To the surprise of everyone, the Orlac actually listen. They don't agree immediately, but they don't dismiss it either. For the first time, they're not treated as an enemy to be feared, but as an equal with whom humanity can reason. It's a small victory, but one that begins to set the tone for the future of this galactic war. While not every faction will be as receptive to humanity's ideas, this small step proves that peace might be possible in the galaxy after all. Humanity's peaceful influence is growing, and as more species join the conversation, more possibilities for reconciliation emerge. The war is far from over, but humanity has opened a door that many thought was closed forever. And in the process, they've shown the universe that sometimes the greatest strength is not found in the weapons you wield, but in the words you speak. Humanity's growing role as peacekeepers soon garners both admiration and suspicion across the galaxy. While some view their diplomatic efforts as a breath of fresh air, others, particularly the war-hungry factions, grow increasingly uneasy. They don't understand how a species they've long considered insignificant can hold so much influence. The Christians in particular are enraged. Their empire, built on an unwavering belief in the supremacy of strength, is being undermined by a species they once thought of as weak. "How dare they challenge the natural order?" a Christian warlord growls to his advisors, his 6 eyes narrowing in frustration. To them, war is a means of survival, a way of maintaining power. The idea that someone would advocate for peace, especially humans, is an affront to everything they stand for. Despite this backlash, the human diplomats press on. Their message is simple, yet profound: war is not a solution. It's a symptom of a deeper failure to communicate, to understand each other's needs and fears. They offer a model that goes beyond battlefields and weapons. They introduce universal concepts of empathy, emotional intelligence, and diplomacy, tools that no other species had used on such a scale before. Ambassador Helen Rice's next meeting, however, is not as smooth as her first with the Orlac. This time she's dealing with the Zephians, a race known for their devastating psychic abilities and an unshakable belief in their own superiority. The Zephians, unlike the Orlac, are not interested in coexistence. To them, the galaxy exists to serve them, and the idea that anyone, especially humans, could talk them into peace is laughable. At the meeting, the Zephian leader Vrex looks down at Rice from his towering form, his purple translucent skin shimmering with contempt. His voice, when it comes, is like ice. "You wish to stop the war with words. Tell me, human, what would you know of victory or power? You are weak." Rice doesn't flinch. Instead, she simply responds, her voice steady. "Strength is not the ability to crush your opponent. True strength is in the ability to change your mind to find a better way. And that's what we offer: an opportunity to stop fighting, to choose something else." There's a brief silence as the Zephians exchange puzzled glances. They've never heard such words from anyone, least of all a species they'd once deemed insignificant. Vrex, for all his power, seems momentarily taken aback. For the first time, he hesitates. "What are you proposing?" Vrex asks, though his tone is tinged with skepticism. Rice leans forward, her voice calm but carrying weight. "I propose a meeting of minds, not weapons. Let us help you see that there's more to victory than defeating an enemy. Let us help you understand that peace does not make you weak, it makes you stronger. Strength lies in building a future together, not in watching civilizations burn." The Zephians for the first time consider her words. They don't accept them immediately, but the seed of doubt has been planted. As they depart the meeting room, there is no immediate agreement, but the first cracks in their belief system begin to form. In the coming weeks, other factions follow suit. Some still resist, still believe that their strength comes from war, but a growing number of species begin to look at humanity differently. Word begins to spread. Humanity's influence is growing. Their reputation is shifting. They're not just diplomats or pacifists, they're problem solvers, visionaries who can see a path forward when others only see walls. For every species that resists, there's another that embraces humanity's methods, eager to find a way out of the war they can no longer win. While the Christians prepare for their next battle, humanity is busy creating something entirely new, a universe where communication and understanding reign, and war is seen as the ultimate failure of leadership. Slowly but surely, humanity is showing the galaxy that the most powerful weapon in the universe is not a laser or a missile, but the capacity to understand, to compromise, and to connect. The universe may still be filled with weapons, but humanity has proven that intellect can disarm them. And in doing so, they've begun to change the very nature of war itself. As humanity's diplomatic efforts continue to gain momentum, the war that once seemed unstoppable begins to shift in a subtle yet profound way. Species that once believed war was the only path to power are now grappling with the realization that humanity's approach, peaceful, thoughtful, and grounded in mutual understanding, might just be the answer to their existential dilemmas. The galaxy watches torn between those who see humanity's rise as a threat and those who view it as the beginning of something greater. The Christians, the Zephians, and many others are at a crossroads. Do they continue to fight, perpetuating an endless cycle of destruction? Or do they risk the unknown, trusting a species that has never sought power through violence? One of the greatest turning points occurs when Ambassador Rice and her human team are invited to a summit, a historic meeting of all the major factions, including those who still cling to their militaristic ways. The summit is scheduled to take place on the neutral planet of Zenthia, a world that has long been considered a haven for those looking to escape war. It is here that humanity will make its boldest proposal, yet a new galactic council built not on military strength, but on cooperation, dialogue, and the shared desire to evolve beyond war. As the meeting begins, tensions are high. Representatives from the Orlac and the Cephians take their seats, their postures defensive and distrustful. The Chrysian warlords are present too, their massive forms exuding an air of aggression. But the human diplomats, led by Rice, are unfazed. They have prepared for this moment their entire lives. Rice steps forward, addressing the assembly. "You stand on the brink of change," she says, her voice echoing in the grand chamber. "For millennia, you have fought for dominance, for power, for resources. But look at what it has cost you. Look at what it has cost all of us. A universe torn apart by conflict, civilizations on the edge of extinction. There is another way. Humanity has learned this the hard way through our own wars and mistakes. We can't undo the past, but we can create a future built on cooperation, not conquest." Her words, spoken calmly and with conviction, reverberate through the room. For many, it's the first time they've ever heard such a clear and honest message. For the first time, they're being asked to consider something beyond their own interests. The Christians, at first skeptical, begin to murmur among themselves. "This is foolishness," one of their commanders growls. "You cannot negotiate with weakness. Strength is the only thing that matters." But Rice doesn't falter. "Strength is important," yes, she responds. "But strength without wisdom is just destruction. We are not asking you to give up your power. We are asking you to use it wisely." As the summit continues, it becomes clear that humanity's influence is undeniable. Slowly, more representatives begin to soften. The Orlac, once dismissive of humanity's abilities, begin to ask questions, intrigued by the possibility of a different path. The Zephians, while still hesitant, start to consider the idea that peace might in fact be more powerful than war. And in the background, the Christians, while unwilling to fully embrace the idea, start to question their own motives. Could it be that they've been wrong all along? Could it be that true strength lies not in the fear they instill in others, but in their ability to unite and build a better future? In the days that follow, a remarkable transformation begins to take place. The summit ends not with a treaty, but with something far more profound, a commitment to create a new way forward. Humanity's proposal for a galactic council where all species, no matter their size or strength, have an equal voice begins to take shape. It's not perfect, but it's a start. And for the first time in the galaxy's history, peace seems within reach. Humanity, with its peaceful strategy and unwavering belief in dialogue over destruction, has won not through force but through wisdom. They have shown the universe that war is not the only way to resolve conflict. They have proven that understanding, empathy, and cooperation are the true markers of strength. As the humans return to their homeworld, the galaxy begins to change. The specter of war no longer looms over every negotiation. In its place is the idea that peace is possible even in the most unlikely of places. The universe has been forever altered by humanity's rise. The galactic war may not be over, but the way wars are fought has already changed. Humanity has shown the galaxy that the strongest force in the universe is not found in weapons, but in the capacity to understand each other and work together toward a common goal. As the stars above begin to calm, the galaxy reflects on what has just transpired. The sounds of war, once deafening, now seem distant. The universe, which had been consumed by the insatiable hunger for conquest and power, slowly begins to heal. The seeds of peace planted by humanity's wisdom and resolve have begun to take root. The journey hasn't been easy. There have been doubts, resistance, and moments when it seemed like the old ways would win out. But through it all, humanity stood firm. They didn't fight with weapons, they fought with words. They didn't use power to crush their enemies, they used understanding to lift up their allies. In the days that follow, the galaxy undergoes a quiet transformation. The factions that once stood opposed to each other now sit at the same table, not as enemies, but as equals. The strength that humanity demonstrated was not in their ability to dominate, but in their unwavering commitment to peace, to finding a better way. The universe is not perfect, and the road ahead will not always be smooth. But for the first time, the idea of peace feels real. It's no longer a distant dream, but a tangible possibility. The galaxy has learned that power is not just measured by the weapons one can wield or the armies one can command. True power lies in the ability to listen, to understand, and to build something stronger than any force of destruction. Unity. Humanity, the species once thought too weak to matter, has become the strongest force in the universe, not through violence, but through their ability to show others the way to peace.